Grammys 2022 viewers are in an uproar online after seeing disgraced comedian Louis C.K. win an award for Best Comedy Album. The 54-year-old comedian was certainly a controversial nominee at this year's award show, and many viewers watching from home were quick to express their shock over Louis winning this award. However, the Recording Academy's CEO Harvey Mason Jr. responded to the backlash online and basically said that they don't consider someone being cancelled on Twitter a good enough of a reason to exclude them from the award ceremony. In a statement, he said, "We won't restrict the people who can submit their material for consideration. We won't look back at people's history. We won't look at their criminal record. We won't look at anything other than the legality within our rules of, is this recording for this work eligible based on a date and other criteria? If it is, they can submit for consideration." To remind you, Louis C.K. temporarily stopped performing back in 2017 after he was accused of misconduct. Louis would then come out and admit to his mistakes that involved satisfying himself in front of several female comedians and writers. In a statement to the New York Times, he said, "I want to address the stories told to the New York Times by 5 women named Abby, Rebecca, Dana, and Julia who felt able to name themselves and one who did not. These stories are true. At the time, I said to myself that what I did was okay, because I never showed a woman my Johnson without asking first, which is also true. But what I learned later in life, too late, is that when you have power over another person, asking them to look at your Johnson isn't a question. It's a predicament for them. The power I had over these women is that they admired me, and I wielded that power irresponsibly." He continued and said, "I have been remorseful of my actions and I've tried to learn from them and run from them. Now I'm aware of the extent of the impact of my actions. I learned yesterday the extent to which I left these women who admired me feeling badly about themselves and cautious around other men who would never have put them in that position. I also took advantage of the fact that I was widely admired in my and their community, which disabled them from sharing their story and brought hardship to them when they tried, because people who look up to me didn't want to hear it. I didn't think that I was doing any of that because my position allowed me not to think about it," adding, "I've brought pain to my family, my friends, my children, and their mother. I have spent my long and lucky career talking and saying anything I want. I will now step back and take a long time to listen." However, after a brief hiatus, Louis made his return to stand-up comedy and even went on a national tour in 2021. One Twitter user who was all fired up about Louis C.K.'s Grammy win tweeted, "Louis C.K. just won a whole Grammy while y'all are either calling for Will Smith's head or crying about cancel culture. There are no consequences for white cis-het men." Although I think both can be wrong at the same time, it sounds like in this tweet she is just justifying Will Smith smacking Chris Rock in the face and then accepting an award just moments later. Or how about Chris Brown attacking Rihanna in 2009 and then being nominated 14 more times at the Grammys and even winning Best R&B Album 2 years after he did that to her? Clearly the Grammys have been separating the art from the artist for a long time now. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, I'm just pointing out that this is what they do. In fact, R. Kelly was being nominated for awards right up until 2015. Another angry Twitter user wrote, "Louis C.K. just won a Grammy in case you were still crying about cancel culture." Although in response, another user said, "He went from being the biggest star in comedy to being nearly silent for years, lost tens of millions in endorsements and ticket sales. He was canceled. This little trophy doesn't change that." I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this though, because that's all the time we have for today. So stay classy, and I'll see you in the next one.